having you back at one of our cooking classes.
Okay.
So our next speaker is Kathy Gunst. I met Kathy actually last year when she came to a dinner seminar, and also interviewed her for my family food diaries. And I just love hearing her on NPR, and really every time I think about Kathy, I hear her voice. She has the most enthusiastic voice, and she just exudes positivity about food. So I just love your program. She actually, as Cass said, just won the James Beard Foundation Broadcast and New Media Awards for her program on NPR, which is very exciting. This is her latest book, Notes from a Maine Kitchen. Fabulous book, gorgeous pictures, and really wonderful recipes and stories. So she'll be selling that at the end. So for Kathy, a really good meal to her is simple with big flavors. So of course she loves locally grown food. Her favorite meal is a locally raised roast chicken with some lots of herbs from the garden and garlic, and a salad picked fresh from the garden with good olive oil and lemon. Very, very simple. She might throw some berries on top of it with a dollop of creme fraiche.
Well, not on the chicken.
Not on the chicken. I asked her what she likes now that she didn't really like as a kid. She didn't really have anything, but she said she has grown. Her appreciation for vegetables have grown. So she loves any fresh vegetables. Her favorite last-minute pantry meal is pasta, again with red roasted tomato sauce with some capers, maybe an anchovy thrown in with a sprinkling of cheese, and she says it's shockingly satisfying. Her favorite hobby is that she loves to swim. And if you didn't know it, every year she swims across the Hudson River from Newburgh, New York to Beacon, New York. How many miles is that?
1.
That's about 10 feet.
1 mile is a lot.
And she swims wherever she goes, so hopefully she goes to many warm places.
I'm totally embarrassed. Think about how many laps you have to swim to get them in the Hudson, yes. Well, it's hot, actually. I did not write a speech because I'm not very good at those, but that was pretty sobering, hearing about what's going on in our schools. I guess I could tell an equally sobering story about what's going on at a much younger level, but I also think I have a happy story to share. I hope I do. Because you said we had to be upbeat, so I'm very upbeat. My story is a very small, local story that started in 2010. I got an email inviting me to come to the White House. Michelle Obama was asking chefs and food writers to come and learn about this brand new program called Let's Move. And I thought, I want to go. Of course I want to go. But I'm not a teacher or anything. I'm not even a chef. I don't consider myself a professional chef. I'm a journalist. I write cookbooks. I write for a living. So I signed up to go, and somehow or another I got this letter saying, fill out these forms, and if you pass your security, you're coming. And apparently I passed. So, I mean, I had some rough teenage years there. But they let me in, and there were about a little bit over 800 of us, and most of them were chefs. And it was, I've written about this actually in my new book. It was an amazing day, as you might imagine, and there was Michelle Obama, and it was boiling hot, but I was kind of chilled because the whole thing was just so exciting. And among the many things that she said that day, she gave us a challenge. She said, if every single one of you goes home and starts a program in the community that you live in, think about what could happen for American children. And I remember thinking, right on, absolutely, so cool. I hope everybody does that. That's so great. And so, you know, it was fun. We had our pictures taken. We wore these white toques. There was the rose garden, like the rose garden. And it was amazing. And then it was over. And I went to the airport and I got on a plane to come home. And so I had this amazing experience. And what happened to me on that airplane was like those cartoons that I grew up with, like, you know, there's like a little devil on one shoulder and a little angel on one shoulder. And the angel said, you have to do this. You have to go home and do something. And the devil said, no, you're a journalist. You're not an educator. You don't work. I've raised 2 children. My husband and I raised 2 children who are in their 20s now. Like, I'm not going back to school. I'm not going to go back and deal with other people's kids. I'm over that. It was hard enough the first time. And, you know, the flight from Washington's not that long, but the entire flight, and I'm not being dramatic, there were these dual voices going. And I came home, and I talked to John about it, and I said, I'm not going to do it. You know, I'm just totally not going to do it. And then I thought, you know what, I'll just call the principal. And Michelle Obama said, everyone will tell you there's no money, and there's no time, and there's no resources. So you're going to have to, and I thought, well, if I just make the phone call, and then she says there's no money, there's no time, there's no resources, I've done what I'm supposed to do, and I'm good to go. So at the time, there was a woman at Central School named Vicki Stewart. She has since retired, and she's like, you know, she's like a dream of what an elementary school principal is. Both of our children went to this school. It's important to say. I called Vicki. I'm like, hi, you know, remember me? Oh, great. You know, I just went to the White House. And she started like hyperventilating. And so I said, you know, so Michelle Obama said we should come back and do something in the school. So, I just thought I'd tell you about it. And there was this pause, and she said, I will do anything you want. So I was screwed. I was like, well, sure, let's have a meeting. And always invite other people too. So to make a very long story short, that was in 2010, and tomorrow I am going to Central School, and we are making a soup very similar to the chicken soup we had here with the 3rd graders. They will make the entire thing themselves, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So for the past 4 years, actually I'm getting way ahead of myself. This is why you should have a script. We had these meetings, and people from our community, South Berwick is a town filled with people from away, as they call it, and then there are the locals, and very often those people don't jive. But there were these meetings that were happening where those people and those people were sitting at a table, and they were talking about how do we educate our children? How do we stop this national crisis of obesity? We didn't really talk about it that way, but that's what we were talking about. What can we do? And at the very first meeting, there were about 6 parents and a few people from the PTO. Vicki Stewart looked at me and she goes, what's your dream? What would be the absolute dreams? I thought, this is where I make the dream so big that everybody says, we're not going to do it. So I said, okay, my dream is that we transform the entire backyard of the school. So instead of, you know, this kind of falling apart playground and these playing fields that are falling apart, we have gardens, we have an orchard, we have a hoop house. We can grow food year-round, and we grow enough food that we can bring it into the cafeteria. And then, you know, still in the dream phase, and then I can come in and have cooking classes for every kid in the school. Well, damn it, it all happened. It happened, and it happened so fast. I got back from the White House in July, and by that September, the hoop house was being built, the orchards were being put together, the entire back of the school was being transformed. And most moving to me was the way the whole community came together. This was not about me at all. It was about a community that was really desperate to try to change something. And I hadn't been to the school, as I said, our kids are 26 and 23, in a while. And when I looked at this population, I did notice these kids are heavier. These kids are just seem to be eating, like in the hallways, in between classes. And then I went to lunch one day there, and it was like, whoa. So I've spent the past 4 years, I've cooked, so this school is pre-K, which are 4-year-olds. I mean, some of you have 4-year-olds. I forgot how little 4-year-olds are. They're like I keep going, oh, does your big sister go here? And they're like, no, I do. You know, and I'm like, God, they look so little. So it's 4-year-olds up to 8-year-olds. It goes up to 3rd grade. And they are the most enthusiastic group. And we have cooked food. So my mission, because there are no rules. Michelle Obama let everybody loose. There's no money, and there's no rules, and there's no guideline. So the PTO the first 2 years was just unbelievable. They just stepped up, and they got the money, and someone donated the hoop house. And all the landscape designers and architects in the town came and dug up the back field, and someone donated peach trees, and someone else donated blueberry bushes and raspberry bushes, and everyone's welcome to come see it. It's right behind the school. There's spinach in there right now, but last week, every child in the school planted a seed. And then as those seedlings take, we will plant them in the hoop house, and we will have food. And then in June, before the end of the school year, we'll have an all-day school salad bar, where the 3rd graders will make salad dressing, and all the things that the kids grew that are ready will be served in June. So it's completely thrilling, and it's very successful. And I thought, how do I pull back from this now that I've started it? Because I have work, I have books to write, I have articles to, I still love writing. And a really exciting thing 2 years ago was that I was forced to pull out for several months, and I thought, this program's gonna die. And the exact opposite happened again. I've just been perpetually surprised by this. 2 teachers in particular just took it on. Parents came. Teachers started doing little mini cooking classes in their classes. They did the salad bar without me that year, and it was just amazing to see that. So it's growing, and it's going on, and it's less and less about me, which was one of my personal goals. I wasn't signing on for life with this. The other huge surprise has been the parents. This is for the kids, but obviously when you're working with 4-year-olds or even 8-year-olds, and we have real knives, and we have food processors, we cook, they grew Swiss chard last year. We made Swiss chard enchiladas. We do kale chips. With the little kids, we do smoothies because they love the noise, and all they have to do is chuck things into a blender. I've had Evan Mallett from the Black Trumpet come, and we made black ink pasta. All the things that people say kids will never eat. This is what I heard over and over again. Are you going to do chicken fingers? No, I'm not going to do chicken fingers. Are you going to do pizza? No, we're not going to do pizza. Everything we've done has been fruit and vegetable. In most cases, we hope that it's something we grew, but if not, we get it from local farmers, or I'll go to the farmer's market. So several times I asked for lots of parent volunteers, and it never occurred to me when I asked for all these parents to come in that there'd be this kind of, what's the right word, like secondary education going on. So the parents come, and almost every time a mother will say, may I speak with you for a minute? I said, sure, chaos, but sure. And she's like, please don't be insulted, my son's not going to eat this. He doesn't eat fruits and vegetables, so I just wanted to let you know. And I'm like, I heard you. That's basically what I say. And then that same woman, a half an hour later, is in the corner weeping because she's so moved that her kid is eating this food. And she'll come up to me and she goes, I don't get it. And I go, let me guess. At home, he's your picky eater. That's his label. And she's like, well, yeah, because he is. And I'm like, but don't you see, as soon as you call him that, he has to live up to it. That's his role, right? The difficult one has to stay difficult, the picky eater has to stay. But these kids are planting seeds, they're growing the food, then they're cooking it with their peers. How are they not going to eat it? How are they not going to? And my thing, this is the one rule. I'm like the nice person that comes in, but I'm like, here's the rule. You're never allowed to say you hate something. You can tell me I don't care for it, but you have to taste it. And half the time these kids, I saw one kid sneaking it when his mother wasn't looking. because he's so invested in being the picky eater, right? What's he going to blow her mind and have, and then, the other amazing thing is I'll be in a store like the Golden Harvest or even a supermarket, and I'll see kids from the school, and their mother will say, look, kale, we're buying it, you know, and then I get chills because I think, oh my God, it's so worth it. It's so working. It's like, I was thinking about how our kids were part of the Just Say No campaign. Like, you know, they came back and they're like, Mom, did you know drugs are bad? And I'm like, really? You know, and then they learn, like, you're not supposed to smoke. And I'm just hoping that this generation, particularly when they're this young, is going to learn, you know, oh, we can get sugar and fruit, Mom. We don't have to eat ice cream. And, you know, I do all these things with them before we start cooking. I ask all these questions. What do you like to eat? What do you want the minute you get home from school? And they're like, you know, they say exactly what you think they'd say. And then when we're done cooking, I ask again. And a lot of them don't answer because you can see like their minds have been kind of jogged a little bit. So it's extremely rewarding. You should just know if you have any interest in doing it in your school that you don't need a background or an education in this, and you don't need a huge foundation behind you. We have managed to do this year after year for very little money. It's unbelievable. You know, a lot of stuff's donated, but even if you went into your school where your kids are once or twice and just did something in the classroom, it's you know, as we're seeing when you're talking about these college-age kids, they don't have these skills. They're not going to get them if they don't get them when they're that young. Most of the chefs that went to the White House went back and worked in junior highs and high school. And a lot of people said to me, you're going to work with 4-year-olds? And I thought, I want to get them before that whole mindset of like, this is cool, this is not cool, the whole Lunchable plastic food thing. It's like, I want to hit them when they're so open. You know, they're like, I'll hold up the kale and they'll go, ew, and I go, yeah, you think so? How about if we make chips out of these, you know, or the Swiss chard, they're like, it looks gross, you know, and then we talk about those words, and then we have an enchilada, and they're scarfing it down and wanting to know, and tomorrow we're going to make soup and use the spinach from the Hoop House and put it in, and all these vegetables from the Rollinsford Winters Farmers Market, so it's great. I had other things, but we can wait because a lot of the statistics, last week I was at a conference in Chicago and Sam Cass from the White House, he was the White House chef and then he ran the Let's Move and he's now getting really involved in food policy. And he talked a lot about different initiatives that the White House is taking, but the one thing I thought was really interesting is that they're working with Sesame Street now. What was his quote? Who better to tell kids about healthy food than Elmo? The only thing I might propose is all of you, you know, that you can do that. And that whole thing about, I don't have time to cook, I hear that every single time I meet someone with young kids. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't buy it, you know? Let them miss a soccer practice, or let them take one less musical instrument, or turn off your television set and hang out and cook together. It's messy, it is. It's disruptive, but if kids are getting to college and they don't know how to feed themselves, then we've failed. So, food for thought. Thank you.